Hello, boys and girls. You're listening and watching Peter Talks Smackdown. This week's Smackdown is coming from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, you always get into this debate when you're talking about the WWE product. Which is better, which is this, whether it's NXT is better or like Raw, SmackDown. They're all apples and it's like an apple, an orange, and a banana. I'm going to sit back and tell you that this was a really excellent SmackDown. Better than Raw, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's all arbitrary. I think Raw gives you something that SmackDown doesn't, and SmackDown gives you something that Raw doesn't. But one thing that definitely SmackDown does, it doesn't fuck around with its matches too often. There's not a lot of talking. They really get to it, and they experiment with matches that show up on Raw. So normally you hear the conversation that if it happens on SmackDown, it doesn't exist. Well, I say it's a good way to see how chemistry can be for the match on Raw. And this is what you get a lot of the times, like this episode. A lot of new matchups. I think Raw, I would say definitely Raw last Monday was basically a extended version of SmackDown. A lot of first matchups. This is what happens normally on SmackDown. You get like two workers that's never been in the ring before, and they're testing out to see what kind of storyline they could do on Raw. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. There's been years upon years, I've been watching SmackDown of matches that are basically redone on Raw. So to say it was better, again, it's arbitrary, but this was definitely an excellent show. Not too many complaints at all. Good action. It was continuous. They tied a lot of things together. No complaints. The only complaint I do have is that they really did go overboard on the canned noise. It's a pre-taped show. They tape it on Tuesday. They play it on Thursday. And so they edit noise in to make the crowd seem that much more excited. And I wish they would stop. I honestly wish they would stop doing it, but they're not going to, because it's all about the glitz and the glamour and the show. Being that it's taped, they can take time and do more stuff with it. But tonight they're in Tulsa. Last Monday they were in Oklahoma City, and this show they're in Tulsa, and the commentary is Jimmy Uso, Tom Phillips, and the return of Jerry the King Lawler, who Baron Saxon has been in that spot for maybe 3 or 4 weeks now, and now this is King's return. And the show basically starts off with Seth Rollins, and I don't know, like this is more like Seth's show than anybody. You got Raw, and the Authority opens Raw, but again, it's been like 4 straight weeks that Seth Rollins has opened SmackDown. And his promo is about having to hear "so what" all the time. Like people, whenever he's accomplished this, he's accomplished that, and all he hears is "so what." And he got so tired of it that he reached this breaking point, which resulted in him crushing John Cena's nose. Now you had 2 topics in wrestling over the past couple of days. You had Hulk Hogan and his bullshit, and then you had John Cena and his broken nose. And it's just been the talk of basically all, like, whatever message boards or Facebook groups or podcasts. It wasn't an amazing feat, but like I said in my recap, it's not that big of a deal. He's a tough dude. You're supposed to perform under pressure or in unlikely circumstances. The fight must go on. I don't see any different. Again, it was impressive, but I'm not going to like all of a sudden give him an award for being tough. He's a tough dude. So But anyway, to continue on, as he's talking, I mean, like they really are overdoing it with the can noise, and it was hard for me to sort of focus on what was really going on because they're too busy giving me fucking noise. Um, Cesaro comes in, and he reminds him that he tapped out to John Cena. But as Cesaro in the ring, and something I noticed right at the beginning too, is that there's confetti falling from the ceiling. Like, what the fuck happened in Tulsa in that arena the night before that they still had celebratory confetti, like bits and pieces still dropping from the ceiling. I should go look it up and look at their schedule to see what they had the night before. But for some reason, throughout the night, you just saw pieces of confetti just fall from the sky. It's pretty funny. And apparently, this was supposed to be a rematch from last Thursday. The Cesaro versus Rollins. Kevin Owens interrupted, and he was like, "Well, I'm not here to tell you that we're fighting again for the main event." And then Rollins was like, "Get the fuck out my ring." And Cesaro came back and was like, "Well, shit. All right, I'm gonna make your ass tap out right now." So the main event turned into the opening match. All of a sudden, a referee just shows up. I was waiting for someone to sort of Teddy Long or something to sort of just come out and just be like, "Yo, get this match started. Get me a referee." But no, I guess as an extended member of the Authority, I guess Seth Rollins also has the authority to call his own matches as well. I mean, even though Cesaro was like, "Yeah, I'll start this shit," but Seth Rollins didn't back out of it, so I guess it was considered a match. But yeah, I was just waiting for someone to show up, Stephanie or somebody of any kind of authorial figure or something to say, "Hey, start the match." But the ref just kind of poof from thin air, and there it was. And then we get this match, and before the match even starts, Kevin Owens shows up and joins commentary. The match is what Cesaro said it was going to be, trying to make him tap out. So through the match, there were maybe 3 or 4 instances where he was trying to get him down for the sharpshooter. But again, for what short match it was, the chemistry between Seth Rollins and Cesaro is amazingly good. And it picks up, and Cesaro just, he becomes a house of fire to where he gets him into the big swing, and before he can hit the big swing, Owens comes in and basically breaks up the match again. And then there's a moment where Rollins and Owens, it looked like Rollins is kind of pissed at Owens for stopping the match. He kind of pushes him. But then it was all like a ruse, and they both just started stomping a mud hole in Cesaro. And then the refs come in and break it up. The next match we had Los Matadores with the Lucha Dragons, who faced each other on Monday. Their tag team against the New Day and the Ascension. The New Day comes out and spits a glorious promo on how they should be the tag team champions. They're like, is the Lucha Dragons the number 1 contender, or Los Matadores the number 1 contender? Who wants to see that? And then they went down at each individual characters of the New Day. Here's the people that you will want to see. Dude, I don't know. Their gimmick just gets better and better and better. Primetime Players is on commentary. Waste of fucking time. You got Darren Young in glasses. He has a notebook in front of a clipboard with stuff. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm just not paying attention to these guys at all. But they're trying to be funny, but it's not as annoying as say what happened last Raw. Throughout the match, the Ascension and New Day there's dissension between those two, and who tags in, who tags out, and it results right at the end when Kalisto was in the ring with Big E, and Big E just kind of demolishes him, and he sets him up for the big ending combination with Kofi Kingston jumping off the top rope. But Victor actually tags himself in, beating Kofi to the tag. He gets in and gets rolled up by Kalisto, and Kalisto gets the win. So the Los Matadores and the Lucha Dragons, they get the win. I don't know. There's a huge gaping hole without the Usos and Kid and Cesaro, and they're really trying to figure this out. It seems the only tag team that seems that they got a grip on any and everything is the New Day. The Lucha Dragons is right there, but for some reason they pulled back on them being the vanilla baby faces, and they gave that to the primetime players, which maybe because primetime players can talk. You don't have to hear these guys talk. They got masks on, like Lucha Dragons. You don't have to have them. They would suffice tag team champions. But we'll see what happens with SummerSlam. I guess right now this whole clusterfuck of all of these tag teams trying to get the belt, either tagging against one another or tagging with one another. We'll see at SummerSlam if it's just going to be like, the Ascension, the New Day, Los Matadores, or the Lucha Dragons at SummerSlam for the belt. Maybe they'll just do a 4-on-4. I mean, I feel like the Ascension to get left out, and it'd be a fatal 4-way of a tag team championship match at SummerSlam. But who's to know? All I'm saying is, as much heat and as much developed as the New Day are, they should have the belts and have, I guess, the returning Usos at some point go and take the belts back, and that's all that makes sense to me. You get Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper package, and it's another bro fest, and he's basically shooting on Roman Reigns, and he makes a comment. Now I have this theory that Ambrose will be returning. Well, Ambrose will be joining the Wyatt family. He's growing a little bit of a beard. He got facial hair. I don't remember him having facial hair, but he's getting a beard. So those are telltale signs to his future. I like to think. It's not fantasy booking. This is me being clairvoyant as possible. Him joining the Wyatt family and turning on Reigns. And Bray makes a statement like, you think, like, Harper will sacrifice himself for me. He will risk his life for me. You think Ambrose will sacrifice himself for you, Reigns? And I just go like, ooh. I may get it right. I don't get much things right at all. But let me get this right so I can brag the fuck about it. And then Rusev versus the returning Jack Swagger. I mean, he wasn't on Raw. They're in Oklahoma. He doesn't get the hometown pop for Raw, so they throw him on SmackDown. But before that match, Rusev cuts a promo. It shoots on Lana, and it's pretty fucking funny. It's just funny. He's just super frustrated with her. Obviously, he's not over her. That's the funny part. He's not over her, and he's using Summer as a means to cope, dressing her up as Lana, and he's just pissed off at Lana for what she did last Monday with the gifts that he gave Summer Rae. Dog Ziggler. Okay, gotta do yourself. But we get a fucking good match out of this. Okay, we've seen this. This is probably one of the biggest feuds of last year. If you watch the show, this was a great feud. Jack Swagger got it. Each time they met, Jack got fucked up more and more. But this was like the first time they faced each other in quite some time. But it seems like Jack Swagger is that guy that whenever Rusev is like short on guys, even though they're in like Oklahoma, I get it. okay, it'd be great for me to not be able to record on this fucking phone. I'm working on getting a camera, better camera, so I apologize for the interruption right then. But, okay, Hometown Boy does good. You got to get him on the show. But he still seems to be, when in case of emergency, break glass for Rusev to have an opponent. The last couple of times they met, again, he was a bona fide jobber, not even get much offense in. I mean, the matches were pretty short. But this, on the other hand, it's like Swagger, he's basically been a bona fide jobber since his arrest for speeding and marijuana possession. And, they got rid of Dutch Mantel, or whatever the fuck his name was, the manager. They got rid of him. But, it's a shame. But I guess the point I'm making is, this match, he's fucking a house of fire. He's hometown. He's fucking doing it up. He's on the attack, and I'm happy for him to get this opportunity. He gets some good moves in, and you would think at some point that he was gonna win. But Rusev is wily. He's as athletic, and that's what wins this match for Rusev. Great performance by Swagger. I don't see this performance sort of changing anything, but oh well. You can get what you get in his hometown. But he's put into the accolade, and then there's this point where it looks like he's about to break out of it. And it was suspense. It was great. But he fell down and ends up tapping out. And Rusev gets the victory. But he's going in for seconds afterwards. It looks like, Summer Lana comes in, and I'll call her Lana Ray. Lana Ray comes in and congratulates him. They look like they're about to kiss, but he turns, looks at Swagger, kicks her out of the ring, and then goes for seconds. Fucking Swagger sidesteps as he runs into the buckle, and he fucking just knocks him down and puts him into the Patriot Lock, where he ends up standing strong afterwards. So even though he got the loss, he still stood strong in the end in his hometown. So kudos to WWE for actually following up, at least let him get some shine at the end. Will this continue? One will see. It seems Rusev, again, is just waiting for Dolph Ziggler to come back from his vacation or trachea injury after renewing his contract. So, why not? It was a good USA chant. Whatever. I don't care. You get a good match. Stardust versus R-Truth. And R-Truth that I thought I wouldn't see on TV for quite some time. The only difference is, since this whole Hogan thing, my whole thing is if after this Hogan thing, there has to be some sort of a change with R-Truth. His character is just too much shucking and jiving, too much jigabooing, and I can't stand it. You hear me every week complaining about the shucking and jiving, sleep and eat, fucking jigaboo minstrel crap that R-Truth does. He gets the jobber opening, and Stardust comes out to his intro, but we don't get a lot of that bullshit shit. It's just him straight wrestling, which I hope they stick with. But for the fact that R-Truth, that's his stick, it doesn't leave a lot for him to actually do anything. So an overhaul of R-Truth, the R-Truth character will be nice. I hope WWE doesn't just give up on it because they can't fucking jigaboo him out anymore. But I don't know. This whole Stardust thing, again, I'm over it. I'm ready for him to transition into Cody again. But they still have this thing with the superhero, supervillain between Neville and Stardust, and they're just going to run with that. But again, bits and pieces of him are showing, from the Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling podcast from last Wednesday. That was something that we talked about. I noticed that he was saying things from his dad's, his late father's promos of the past, and Jake noticed his cadence taking on Gold Dust cadence when he give his promos or does his package or what have you. But it's not really a long match. Cody Rhodes wins with the Crossroads, which they call now the Queen's Arrow. Oh well. And then right at the end, he tries to put the mask. I mean, he shoots a little promo, and then he tries to put the mask on R-Truth, as I guess as a means, because he used to put the paper bags over people's heads when he was the dashing Cody Rhodes. I guess this is his new gimmick of putting something over someone's face, and it's basically maybe product placement too. You can buy yourself a Stardust mask. Hey, we got this mask. Maybe that should say, hey, let's get this fucker the hell out of here. Let's sell as many as possible because we're about to drop the gimmick. I fucking hope so. But Neville comes in with the safe, and that ends that segment. Again, this has, as amazing as Neville is, and this is one of the discussions we had last Tuesday on Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, is that, yeah, poor Neville, this gives, I mean, he's just a vanilla babyface, and this is all about Cody. And then we get to our main event. And this main event is a fucking doozy. Because after everything happened at the beginning of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins basically teaming up to stomp a mud hole in Cesaro, somebody from the Authority set the match. Say, hey, you guys are teaming up. Owens and Rollins will be teaming up against Cesaro and the partner of his choice. Does anyone else try to guess when they do that silhouette? Is that does that silhouette changes? Because sometimes you see the silhouette and it's like, oh yeah, it's a silhouette of this guy. But like, recently I haven't been able to pinpoint it. Even here, I was sitting here trying to guess, who's that silhouette? Does anyone else does that? I know I do. But the heels come out, Cesaro, Rollins, and then, Owens, Rollins come out. So many O's and Ahs going on here. Cesaro, Rollins, Owens. And the guest tag team partner of Cesaro's choice is Ambrose. So we get Owens, Rollins, Cesaro, Ambrose. A lot of O's in there, man. O is O-tastic in this motherfucker. But, he comes out, the crowd goes crazy. I mean, you can fake so much canned noise. Dean Ambrose is over as fuck. So you don't need to do much canned noise over him. It's just the fact that he's put in these fucked up situations. Still rocking the fuzz on the face. Again, here we come, Wyatt family. But this is such an excellent match. It really is. Looking at Cesaro and Ambrose as a tag team is pretty cool. Looking at Owens and Rollins as a tag team is cool. And you have to take in consideration, too. Owens and Rollins, they were both on ROH together. I think, Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were both on there together. So they probably had matches before, so they already know each other's shits when, even as a tag team. Not facing off with each other. I guess when they face off at some point down the future, that's going to be pretty rad, because Owens is going to want that belt. Again, he has a belt fetish. But this is such a great match, and Ambrose, hog wild. So the Cesaro show, Owens does his damage. Rollins, he's setting the pace. If you haven't watched it, man, if you just watch Peter Talk Smackdown, sort of catch up with the drama and the issues and the fun on Smackdown, go back and watch this fucking match. It's really fucking good, just like everything else on this card, except for the Stardust R-Truth thing. But Cesaro ends up getting the roll-up with a handful of shorts with the pin after. There was a moment where Owens was going to get Ambrose and the pop-up powerbomb, but as he returned and sort of elevates Ambrose, Cesaro comes from the back, bounces him off the ropes, and rolls him up, gets a handful of tights, and gets the win. But after he gets the win, he just his celebration is boss. He jumps out of the ring. He stands on the apron and kind of like a superhero stance, and he stares at at Rollins. For like 2 seconds, he kind of just looks at him like, "Yeah, motherfucker, what?" Then he like runs and jumps on the commentator's desk, and he's so jacked that steps off of the commentator's desk onto the barricade, and he stands there. They take the camera off, but apparently he kind of falls into the people that are standing in front of him. It's like a bunch of kids, and as they shoot it, as you see it, I think they had to edit it out because it kind of looks fucked up. Him, falling on some kids in the front row. But there's this one kid who just doesn't look too happy. The rest of the kids are like, "Holy shit, this is awesome." The parents are laughing. And Cesaro's laughing because he's probably embarrassed that he fell on top of these fucking kids. It's fucking hilarious. And he gets back on the commentator's booth. And then Ambrose shows up, gives him a hug. And it's like, "Oh man, I found me a new friend. Fuck Reigns. This is my homie." And I was almost thinking they were going to do the primetime players, like, back and forth. But it was fun. Watching him celebrate was pretty fun because, I don't know, Cesaro, I think at this time is the best babyface on the card. It's something about him. He has a lot resonating from him, and people pick up on it. It's just the way he looks, the way he performs, and the way his mannerisms are. It just works as like this ultimate guy that you just cannot root against. The big swing, the uppercuts, the charisma. He's gotten better on the mic. All through this show, he talked a lot on this show. And he was able to maintain a sense of fucking, he was consistency and doing really well on the microphone. So maybe SmackDown's going to, for the past 2 weeks even. So maybe SmackDown is his training ground for him to finally get that push. At some point, get a shot at the belt. He's had 2 matches with Rollins. His tag team beat Rollins' tag team. So maybe in the near future, I guess Rollins right now is in a bit of... Who is he feuding against right now? Cena. Well, a broken nose can fuck that up. But he was feuding with Cena. I guess if Cena is going to be out for a while, if he's going to have reconstructive surgery on his nose or wait for it to heal up or something like that, hey man, we got Cesaro fucking Rollins. Hell, you could put, and I'm against triple threats. I really, really am. But for like a high profile pay-per-view such as SummerSlam, now that's going to be 4 hours, it's going to be in Brooklyn. I wouldn't mind a triple threat between Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Seth Rollins for the belt. Why not? Why not? I mean, it's not like I see Kevin Owens or even Cesaro fucking winning it, but I can see them in the ring just competing. It'd be up for the belt. Again, Rollins is in limbo. He retain the belt, lose it to someone maybe later on, maybe Brock Lesnar, whatever, after the whole, Undertaker or Brock thing. But at some point, he's going to have to drop that strap. Maybe he'll drop it to John Cena later, but we all know that. But just give us the fucking match. That's all. Just give me that match. You don't got to give it to anyone else. Just give it to me at least. So, yeah. But that wraps up SmackDown, and this wraps up Peter Talks SmackDown. Thank you so much. I apologize for the weird stop in the action. Again, I'm working on getting new gear, and one of those things is a camera. And so I get off this phone with not a lot of space on it. But, yeah, man, go back and listen to Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. Good conversation. A great conversation. The both of us first time getting to talk about the whole Hogan deal. We review Raw from Oklahoma City. This, that, and the other. Also, check out last week's Peter Talk SmackDown. Check out, I'm not sure what's coming up. I guess we'll just wait for Peter's Raw recap. You can find me on Twitter, PJTW Central. Again, that's at PJTW Central. And PJTWCentral.com. bookmark it. It's the website where you can get all of the content. Well, recent content. The archives are linked to, respectively, SoundCloud, um, Stitcher Radio, Tumblr. And then the YouTube clip is actually there to view on the page. I've been slacking on it, but I'll get it up. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, I'll see you Peter's Raw recap. All right? Enjoy your motherfucking weekend.